Kyler Murray would like to have his contract torn up and replaced with something brand new. The offseason program has begun in Arizona. Murray not there, not a surprise, given that he's trying to leverage the situation to get his contract. Here is veteran J.J. Watt, who joined the Cardinals last year, talking about the absence of the team's franchise quarterback.
JJ, does it matter to you that your starting quarterback's not there working out with you guys?
No.
Why not?
Because all I need him to be there for is the first game of the season and play good.
Have you talked to Kyler Murray this offseason, and what advice would you give a player of his caliber when they're going through like an ongoing contract dispute?
We talk frequently. As far as advice on contracts and things like that, if he wants my advice, I'm here for it, but I'm not. Everybody goes through their own situation, and a quarterback in this league is vastly different than any other position. Everybody knows that. It's a quarterback-driven league. You have to have a great one to have a chance at success. We're fortunate to have a great one, and I look forward to getting out there and playing with him again this season.
And will he be there week one? That's really the question. I think this is all going to come to a head sooner rather than later. The Cardinals supposedly plan to do it in the summer. We've talked about this. Murray wants to get it done, if possible, now, so there'd be a window to trade. What happened last week, 6 days ago, the dust up then, it's led to nothing. So if that was an effort with 2 weeks to go before the draft to bring things to some sort of a conclusion, some sort of a negotiation, some sort of an impasse, and then maybe someone could trade for him, I think they've realized it's just not happening. There's no clamoring from other teams to try to get him. There's no indication that they've even talked. It's just kind of there, and it's going to continue to be there. It's going to hover over the Cardinals, and it's going to be one of the things we continue to track and monitor and talk about until they do get a deal done. And we'll see if they can get a deal done when June, July rolls around.
Yeah, it feels inevitable. It feels like it's going to happen, but it feels like there's going to be, some moments like this along the way. I don't get the sense or feel that the Cardinals are looking to trade Kyler Murray or that he really wants to go anywhere else. It's just a contract impasse like you're talking about. He wants his money now. He wants to be protected. I get that. I do. I as a football player and a guy that's been around it, I don't love the, oh wait, it's still a young quarterback here where we're just gonna miss spring ball. We're gonna miss OTAs, not be there. A team that doesn't finish strong and now is not gonna have the leader. I don't love that. I don't. Not to say that I really think it'll make a huge difference, during the season, but I do think the camaraderie, this is the time of the year where, you start to, hey, let's tinker with this play and that play because, hey, Kyler, it's year 4. You know everything in the offense now. I want to add, I was thinking about this as I was watching this, the last few months and thinking about adding these formations with this plays and all of that type of stuff to where you do lose out on that. There's definitely value in that. So that bothers me as a guy that's a football guy. But this is the business of the NFL right now, and, Kyler Murray's going to stay away.
Well, and he has every right to do so. And,
he does.
One thing to mention real quickly, I poked around about this last night because in 2021, one of the big issues that the players were pushing was collectively staying away from the offseason program to try to leverage better terms, less intense practices, fewer OTA sessions, etc. It was a very public push, and it worked. This year, you're not hearing any of that. I'm told that they're taking more of a behind-the-scenes approach, trying to continue the dialogue with teams to shape the program a little bit differently. It's not having quite the same impact as last year when there was – it's not a strike because, again, you're not required to do it. You're doing the bare minimum that you're required to do under the CBA. But it's still there. It's just not as out front. And I think most of the absences we're seeing so far are because of individual circumstances, not a collective effort by players to say, we're not going to go. And last year, I think the lingering concerns with the pandemic had something to do with it. The union seized on the idea with how safe are these facilities? Are these guys safe for working out on their own? There were still a lot of unknowns and uncertainties. But now the only impediment the guys showing up, the biggest impediment seems to be what's my contract situation? And guys have every right to stay away. It's newsworthy when they're not there, but that doesn't mean we're passing judgment or casting aspersions on their decisions to not be there. They have every right to not be there because it's all voluntary, but for the 3-day mandatory minicamp that every team has.
Yeah, it's not as taboo to miss anymore. The world has changed. It's even from my era of the early 2000s, mid 2000s, where Mike, we discussed this a lot. It's just there's a lot of guys. Yeah, they're personal trainers. The quarterbacks are more inclined to get groups together and throw footballs and do things on their own. There's more quarterbacks that have their own quarterback coach now. That was not even a thing 10, 12 years ago. Like, nobody in the NFL had a quarterback coach. Now everybody does, like in high school. So it's not like imperative. It's not like you're missing anything groundbreaking the first week or so or all that. But there is still value being there. And I don't know to me, what I want to go is like, I remember NFL off seasons. They were very easy. What does the NFLPA want? That's where I love the players. I love it. I look at the NFL offseason and go, it's a great thing. I mean, you're not in the building that long. You work out, you're around your coaches, you learn a little football, and you're out of there. And it's usually 4 days a week. I mean, tell me where you can sign up for a job 4 days a week where you get there at 8, you leave at 12:30.
But that's not. I know. You're not getting paid. You're doing it for free. You're showing up for free.
I get it.
Unless you have a workout bonus, you're working for free.
Okay,
that's the point.
I get it. I mean, yes, you're working for free, I guess. Yes, I mean, to a degree. I mean, they're also paying you to be a professional and be there and be a player and make yourself the best you could be during the season. And that's where. I mean, what are we going to do? Just not do anything all offseason and then just show up at training camp? I mean, that'll be a disaster, I think, at some point if that does happen.
That was the point we made last week. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to do something somewhere, and it's always better to do it in the building than on your own, because if you get injured on your own, you are SOL, like Juwan James was, and that grievance is still pending against the Broncos, but you're safer. You have an insurance policy that pays out your full salary in the event that you suffer some sort of a serious injury, some sort of a fluke thing, lifting weights, running on the field, doing whatever. But, in an environment where the NFL always if you haven't heard, the NFL always drives a hard bargain against everyone, including the players. You're in an environment where the NFL is always looking to drive the hardest possible bargain with everyone they bargain with. Then if you've got some power, that's what it's about. What power do we have? What can we do to try to exert some leverage back against the NFL? That's part of what this is. They just expect the players to show up and take whatever piddly little per diem that they get. And Chris, I remember back in the time frame that you were playing, I remember constantly hearing concerns about the extent of contact during these OTA practices.
I won't disagree with that.
The offensive linemen, I used to hear back then, they just wanted to wear shoulder pads because they're out there with helmets and no other protection, and they're hitting like it's really practice, and they don't have pads on, and the helmets are hitting their shoulders. They're getting banged up. Like, let's just wear pads if we're going to do this.
You're not wrong there.
You've got young guys trying to prove themselves.
Yeah.
So they're full of piss and vinegar, and they're trying to show that they belong, and they're out there in these unpadded practices, and they want to impress the coaches. The onus has always been on the coaches to find a way to take some of the steam out of a situation where you put 11 on 11 and you say go. They're going to go out there and start beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah, but it's different now than it was then too. In a short period of time, I think the league has adjusted to some of those things you're talking about. At that time, yes. There was still an old school faction of people that were like, screw the league. We're going to practice the way we want to. I was with one of those coaches. Yes, I was. I mean, yeah. Oh, you're not allowed to have a walkthrough, during the early. But we had a walkthrough every day. We never listened. Hour walkthrough. I mean, what? John Gruden, he was going to listen to that crap. What? So yes, I think there was some people that pushed the limits. But what happened, is players started to push back, and player representatives started calling the NFLPA and being like, we were out here today hitting. It was supposed to be an OTA practice, and somebody got decapitated running over the middle and catching a pass. We had another guy that, hurt his leg. So there was that went on. And I was part of that as a player rep to where that started to become a thing. And I think the NFL has adjusted now to where the coaches know the players take it serious, the league takes it serious, and I think they follow the rules a little bit better than they used to.
They always watched the new coaches the most closely because those were the ones who were more likely to, number one, throw caution to the wind until they understood what the boundaries were. And number two, they just don't know. They don't know what can and can't be done. But, yeah, hey, I remember when Gruden came back into the NFL with the Raiders 4 years ago, he was constantly complaining about how the rules had changed since he had been a coach. It's even more restricted now. He was pre-2011 CBA when everything got dialed back, and now he's thrown back into it, and he's realizing all the things he can't do, and players who want to meet with him, want to talk to him, want to get to know the playbook, want to show up at 3:45 a.m. at the offices of the Fired Football Coaches Association and watch film and interact, drink coffee, hang out. Like, you can't do that either. That stuff had him livid, but again, they've all learned how to operate within the confines of those rules. But there will be some violations from time to time, and when they happen, they get whacked for it. And the NFL and the NFLPA do a good job of keeping an eye on it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.